What's up? Is this thing on? Oh, there's actually people waiting. Amazing. Amazing. Boom. Okay, today we have a bit of a different time, because I am talking about a race I attended in Indonesia. So we have to accommodate the Asian time zone. If there are any Americans watching, Indonesia is a really big country in Asia. And this shirt I'm wearing is actually from there, traditional Indonesian shirt, batik. And I liked it, so I don't give a shit what you think. I like it. Batik. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the race. It was the final race in the Asian Buggy Championship, run by my best friend, Scotty Ernst. But you see, personal things aside, it's a good race, good series, so I had to attend. Okay, let's get some people in here. Maybe if you guys could post the link, share the link, let people know that I'm online, because this isn't really a normal time for me to be doing this. So I don't know if people know. Maybe we can get some Australians in the house too. So I need to find my setup sheet. We're going to talk about the race a bit, and then the setup changes I did, because I went to the Worlds, I raced the Worlds, and then I flew to Indonesia for this race. And the tracks were basically opposites. Worlds was big, high speed, high grip track, and this was full of jumps, really technical and super loose. They did share that smooth surface. That's true though. Let's see. I should have probably prepared for this, but you know me. It's just a YouTube live. Okay, West Australians are here. It's too late already. East Australia. I find that hard to believe. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. Super chats, I'll actually notice. I'm trying to figure out where I have my setup sheets. There we go. Okay. And then there was something else. I think I listed my changes. Maybe they're on my phone. I think so. Yep. Okay. Bermuda in the house, Indonesia, Australia. The Aussie Beer Fund. Thank you very much. Looking for a nice fifth scale nitro truck, what do you recommend? I recommend that you immediately leave this channel, because we are not into astro racing or fifth scale. Just gonna have to be honest here, okay? So we are talking about 8 scale off-road now. So I recommend either you give up on your fifth scale dreams or you leave this channel. Either one is fine by me. Got Malaysia in the house. Okay. So let's start talking about this race. I'll show you a few pictures so you get an idea. Okay, this guy is a real fifth scale fanatic. He said goodbye. Okay. Goodbye, David, and I wish you all the best for the future. Okay. I'm going to share my screen so you can see what the track was like. There we go. You should see this now. So red clay, very low grip. I mean, it was basically impossible to traction roll or anything like that. You were sort of sliding around. I think most drivers were either looking for more steering or to balance their car out to add a bit of more rear traction. So that was really the case. Everyone was sliding around, very low grip. We ran super soft compounds. We tried clay compounds and different stuff, but really the sort of super soft tires worked. Hot race was popular. Hot race, super soft Sahara. Some guys ran Matrix. I think it's Black Hole, their sort of indoor style looking tire. I think also their super soft compound. And as you can see, a lot of jumps. So, I mean, there was a straight and then jump, jump, steps down, another jump, off camber corner, double hairpin. Then this was a really fun section. This you double, 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 all while turning, and then you launch this single into a really difficult. I don't know what to call this even. It was off camber, but you could just manage to squeak around the inside there on a flat part. And yeah, then another corner with jumps, and the flow of the track was really nice. So if you got the jumps just right, you timed them perfect, and you sort of whip the car a bit, so it would start initiating the turn already in the air. Then the flow around all of these sections was really nice, super fun. So just driving the track was a pleasure. And this is the kind of layout that I really enjoy because it's technical. Everyone can get around it, but it's difficult to really find that last second, to really hit your lines perfect and do a good lap time. And when you manage that, it feels good. So that's what the track looked like. Let's see if there's another close-up of the surface or something like that. They started off with the track damp, and it stayed pretty good throughout the day. But as you can see here, there were some breaks for watering the surface so that it wouldn't get too dry and dusty, and so it would stay together. But this is a natural dirt track. So we have so many oiled and glued and sugared tracks now that it was nice to have a race on a completely natural clay dirt track. This is kind of the driest it ever got. So you can see how it's cracking here. And if you leave it like this and it dries completely, then there'll just be more dust and it will break up more. So that's why they watered the track a few times a day. So here you see the racing line sort of cleaned off nicely. And my favorite to drive on, but not my favorite to walk on the car afterwards, this red clay. So really nice track in Jakarta. I think maybe half an hour, 45 minutes from the airport, something like that. Pretty much in the center. So let's talk about setup first. It was interesting because I went here straight from the Worlds. Now the Worlds was high speed, high grip. We ran super thick diff oils. The setup was very extreme. And now going here, I knew that, okay, this setup is not going to be the best, but I wanted to start with it just to see how many changes I need to do until my car was comfortable. So I'll share my setup sheet and we can talk about that. Okay, you should see my setup sheet now. This is the setting that I ended with. So I will list the changes I made during the race, just so you get an idea of what kind of changes we typically do. I did cheat a bit. There was one thing I changed already before the race, and that was the diff oils. Because at the Worlds, I ran, I think, 200, 300, 200. And I knew that that was going to be way too thick for these conditions because of the grip. So I knew it was low grip. So I just went thinner on the diff oils. Basically 10 times thinner on the diff oils, 20, 30, 20. That's actually what I started with. And then I tried different settings with the diffs, but I ended back with this that I started with. It was the best. I've spoken about this a few times already, but one change that we've done now with our setups on the Mayako buggies is running the same diff oil front and rear. It's something actually that Pekko came up with. So Pekko Ivonen is actually now working full time for Mayako. So he has been studying engineering. Now he's, I think, 21 maybe. And now there was this opportunity for him to work for Mayako and focus on his racing to try and become a professional driver. I mean, that's his dream, right? So he took a gap year from school. In Finland, if you are in a university, you can sign up as absent. And I don't know if there's even a time limit for how many years you can do that, but that's what he's doing. Now he wants to work for Mayako, focus on racing and try and make it as a driver eventually. So one thing he has learned from 10 scale, he runs a lot of 10 scale, is that their cars normally use same diff oil front and rear. And he tried it on our car and it was really good. So what it does is, now we've noticed it's good on high, medium, low grip, any kind of grip level. Where we haven't tried it yet a lot is on bumpy tracks, on rough tracks. So that, if anyone's watching, if you want to try this and it's good on a smooth track, try it on a rough track too and see how it goes. But normally we would run thinner diff oil in the rear. The thinnest of all three diffs would be the rear one. The thickest would be the center or front. So maybe this normally would be 20, 30, 10 maybe. So now when we run the same diff oil front and rear, the car drives a lot more consistent round corners. So you go in the corner, you turn in, mid corner to exit, there are no surprises. The car doesn't suddenly turn more. It doesn't want to push when you get on power. It just feels like whatever that turning radius is that you have, it maintains it. Off power, you get on power, it just maintains that same nice arc. So it's easier to flow around the track. That's what we've found. So now this is what we have been running with diff oils. Same diff oil front and rear, and then thicker diff oil in the center. So either half, like 50% thicker, or 100%. So here, half of 20 is 10. So you add that to the center, you get 30. Yeah. So 20, 30, 20, or double. So 20, 40, 20. That's kind of what we've been running now. So maybe another example of this would be like 10, 10, 20, 10, or 10, 15, 10. Try those two options, for example. And I think on the Mayako at least, we wouldn't even go thinner than 10, 10, 15, 10. I really don't think so. The Mayako uses thicker diff oils than many other cars, so keep that in mind. But try this kind of balance for your diffs and see if it works on your car. So that I cheated with. Everything else from the Worlds I started with. And when I drove my car, it felt broken, or I felt broken, or I felt like there was some problem with my radio. The car was so numb to any inputs, any steering, anything I did. I felt like there was a massive lag, a delay. I'm like, okay, I know I'm jet lagged, but this is ridiculous. That's how it felt. And so I did a practice run just to sort of learn the track. And then I started thinking, okay, what is the least amount of changes I need to do now? So the first change I did was to the Ackerman link, because on high grip, we run this link back. The reason we do that is with the link back, you have more initial steering, which you would think is bad. But the good thing is it's precise. You turn in precisely, and then after that, the car pushes. So on high grip, think about it. It makes sense. On high grip, you turn the wheel, the car goes exactly where you want it to. But then when the front end gets loaded, the car slows down, you're in the corner, it doesn't suddenly want to turn more. It actually pushes a bit to compensate for that grip on the front. So on high grip, you turn in, and then because of where the Ackerman link is, the car is easier to drive around the corner. So it doesn't feel like you go in and it pushes. It feels like you're going and it keeps turning the same. But in reality, what it's doing is running this link back causes the car to push more after initial steering. So on high grip, it's good. But now what was happening was I would turn in and it wouldn't turn in enough, and then it would push a lot. So that's one reason for the numb feeling. So that's the first thing I changed. I moved this link back. Then I was also running upper arms, which I changed to links. So we have an option to run upper arms or links. I had the upper arms on, I changed to links, mainly because I wanted to start experimenting with different positions and it's easier. Rear, on very high grip tracks, you want the car to be very much in the track. So you want more overall grip, less initial grip. Now I was on a loose track. So the problem was I didn't have enough initial grip. Whenever I wanted to exit a corner, instead of the rear end gripping, stopping a slide and accelerating straight, it would fishtail. It would slide when I wanted to accelerate. So I wanted more initial grip. And I did that by lowering the rear link on the inside to the middle, which is kind of standard setting. High grip, I go up. Low grip, I go to the middle. So that was the second, or well, third change I made, because I removed the upper arms too. Roll bars, I changed to 2.2, 2.6. I had 2.3, 2.6. So a thinner front roll bar. Droop, I had something like +4.0 at the Worlds. But this track had so many jumps and it was so technical. So I wanted a bit more droop. So I went +2, -2. And already after those changes, I remember that I felt connected to the car again. So imagine I went from a really high grip, high speed track to super jumpy, super loose track on the other side of the world. I put my car down on the track and it felt broken and I had no connection to the car. And the only changes, so thinner diff oils, Ackerman link forward instead of back. So I would have more steering, more linear steering through the corner. And the rear link down from all the way up. And where are the roll bars? Am I blind? There. I went from 2.3, 2.6 to 2.2, 2.6. Later on, I went even to 2.1. And droop, I increased droop just a bit. And with those changes, my car was drivable. I now felt connected to it. I could drive around the track. And now I felt like, okay, my car is okay. I just need to make it faster now. So not a whole lot of changes to get a car comfortable on a completely different track. So I was really happy about that. Let's see what's going on here. Sick shirt, Mr. Professor. Damn, you made a live while I'm at work. Yeah, but I'm at work also. This is actually work. I don't do this live just for fun, you know. There's a therapy session, therapy for cars and the driver too. Today we'll actually have a therapy session at the end of this. Got a story to tell you about a woman in a clown suit. What I realized. More beer funds. That's good. Should I have a beer right now? I think. What time is it? I might have to have a beer. It works on rough, bumpy tracks as well. So someone has tried this diff setup on bumpy tracks. What diff oils did you run, and what was your opinion? So two guys have run this diff setup, Western Australia state titles. We ran 50, 150 on high grip super rough track. Was this the grass track? So that's good to hear that it worked there too. Okay, where was I? Let's continue. So a few changes to make the car comfortable. Then what did I do next? I was running 6-hole pistons, but I wasn't quite happy with the car, how it was landing, and just sort of overall how the car was feeling around the track. And when you have a feeling that the car is decent, it's not like a front to rear balance issue or something very specific. It's just a general feeling that the car could be more comfortable, or smoother to drive, something like this. And it's a shock issue, suspension issue. So what I did was I changed pistons. I went to the Kyosho 8 times 1.2, 8 times 1.3. The reason for the Kyosho piston is that it's smaller. The diameter of the piston is smaller than Mayako. So there's more oil flowing past the piston. This makes the suspension more plush. So I knew it would calm the car down a bit, but then more holes, more from 6 to 8, smaller from 1.3, 1.4 to 1.2, 1.3. That change, they would sort of counteract each other a bit. The smaller piston makes for a softer suspension feel, then more smaller holes makes for more pack and a firmer feel. So it's different. And I went with that and it was better. So a clear improvement immediately. Then after that, also another thing, with that piston, one of the problems I was having with the feel was that my car was a bit too lazy. And that can happen on a track like this where there's not enough grip to initiate a corner or stop a slide. So then with a piston like this, you add a bit of response and firmness to the car. But then you don't have too much pack because the piston is small. So they work hand in hand. It was a really good change. Then I needed more steering. Now my car was quite comfortable, but I felt I was losing time because in the tighter sections, I didn't have enough steering. So I started to make changes to gain more steering. So on the front, I moved my steering link out on the carbon plate. And then it was better. So then I changed to a shorter carbon plate with the link out. So the shortest possible position on the plate and the longest possible steering link. That gives you the most steering response and most steering in tight corners. So that's what I did, and it helped. Then after that, I was thinking about the diff shims because actually, you know what? I never changed the diff shims, I'm pretty sure. You know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to get a beer and I'm going to check my diff shims. Wait. I was right. I wrote down about the diff shims, but I remember I never had time to actually change them. But what I wanted to do, I'll show you in a moment. But first, today, I'm not going to have a beer. You know what? I'm going to have a cider. Premium cider, strawberry lime. I think that fits today's life. So cheers. No sound. I think there was no sound because I closed my camera when I went to check my car and get a drink. There should be sound now, right? Okay, so the diff shims I had at the Worlds was 2 mil in the front and then 1 in the back. And what I wanted to do was to go to 0 in the front, because what I thought was that with the 2 mil diff shim in the front, with the high diff in the front, it makes the car more nervous. It could be harder to drive on this technical track. And also you have good steering in, but the mid corner you don't have as good steering. So I was thinking, okay, let's go to a 0 shim in the front, which smooths out the steering, makes it easier to drive, but then maintains steering through the corner. That's what I wanted to try, but I never had time to do it, actually. But it could have been good. So other changes I did then during the race was I went to less kick up, 1 degree less. Kept that. I had 0, 0, so I went 0.5 down on A, 0.5 up on B, just to keep the front end more flat, give it a bit more response into corners. I tried thicker diff oils, thinner diff oils, but like I said, I ended on 20, 30, 20, same as what I started with. Then towards the end of the race, the track had dried a bit more, and it started to get a bit loose later on in runs. So I put 0.5 toe in the rear hub. So we normally run 1.5 toe in. So I had the wide blocks, 54, 57, the wide C&D blocks, which give 1.5 toe. So then I added 0.5 degree toe in the hub, and that really locked in the rear end. So now the car was super easy to drive in the beginning, and then later on, as the track gets a bit loose, I didn't have a problem with the rear feeling loose. Then what else? I remember that I changed bump steer a bit. Bump steer is very powerful on these cars, especially when you have a good setup. So small changes to bump steer help. And what I was trying to do was balance out the steering through the corners. There were many very long flowing corners, and I didn't want the car to feel like it starts to push after it goes in, or it starts to turn more when you get on power or anything like that. I wanted it to be very neutral. And the way to do that is by adjusting the shims between the Ackerman plate and the steering link, or between the knuckle plate and the steering link. And then when you find the right setting, your steering will feel very natural and smooth and good. So that's what I played around with, and I found a better setting. Camber, I tried different settings, but I ended up pretty much with the same I had at the Worlds. So less front camber, more rear camber than sort of a normal setting that I would run. Any questions about this? That cider is awesome. Thank you very much. But you know what? Kopparberg. I don't know if you can have this because it's Swedish, I think. Just have this in Scandinavia. So anyway, what else did I have here? I had the long optional chassis. I made a small center diff, so all my Akko parts except JQ main gear, which fits. You just have to Dremel that diff cup a bit. I had a new floating steering servo where the steering servo is attached to the front gearbox. So when the chassis flexes, the steering angle doesn't change. And you might think, okay, that's not going to make any difference. but it's actually noticeable. And this is another idea from Pekko, actually. So all other cars have the steering servo mounted to the chassis. So then when the chassis twists, the front end and the steering assembly moves differently to the servo. So the steering angle will change. But what we did is we bolted the servo to the front gearbox and the steering assembly. So it flexes all together. So the steering angle never changes on landing or when you hit a bump or enter a high speed corner or anything like that. And you can really tell on the track. Then we also have this carbon brace that extends in front of the rear gearbox, bolts to the chassis. I ran it, but maybe on this loose track I actually shouldn't have, but I never tried it without. Front optional universals, I ran them. Universals help to make the car feel more free rolling, I should say, through corners, and it maintains more steering through the corner. So they were really good. And yeah, for the main, I should have gone up 50 in rear shocks and 10K in diffs, because the main was 60 minutes long in what, 35 plus Celsius degrees, all those jumps and everything. I should have gone up on the diff oils and the shock oils. My car was perfect the first 20 minutes, let's say 30 minutes, and then faded, where I think it would have been better to where it starts off a bit stiff and then instead of fading, it sort of improves and then is great all the way to the end. Will the floating steering servo become an option part? Yes, it's going to be an option part for the Mayako members. And later on, maybe 2026, it could be a standard part on the car. But for now, it's going to be an option part. Yeah, we have that here. My missus drinks it. Yes. Modern gender roles, I can drink it too. And also, what are the first things you change if you want more mid-corner steering? Okay, good question. We'll talk about that. And Aussie in the house, fuck the house, I'm on the roof. Typical Aussie. So the first things you change if you want more mid-corner steering. So if you don't have mid-corner steering, it could be because the rear end is gripping too much or the front end isn't gripping enough. So let's say if you are on this track, which is a loose track, you wouldn't want to reduce rear grip because the track is already loose. You want to maximize grip. So then you would try to make a change to the front end to add more traction to the front mid-corner. So we have to look at the front. Mid-corner steering. On the Mayako, there are many things you would do or you could do. If it's a hairpin, really tight corner, then this thing that I told you with a steering link on the steering knuckle, going to a longer link, shorter knuckle plate, it really helps a lot. Especially for tighter hairpin corners. For any type of corner, mid-corner steering really, if you go to less caster, you will have that feeling. Because less caster, you have more steering into the corner, so you're maintaining more steering mid-corner. You can move your front arm backwards. That helps with overall steering, so also mid-corner. You can lay your front shock down on the tower, which helps specifically with mid-corner steering. All of those changes are really good. With KPI, it's more of a sort of preference thing. So if I just lack mid-corner steering, I wouldn't change my KPI. I would keep the KPI that I like. And then, like I said, consider less caster. But even before that, I would do these other changes. So steering link, arm position, shock position. Those are really good changes to make. Then if I was on a high grip track, let's say my car pushed mid corner on a high grip track, then I wouldn't necessarily want to add more traction to the front, because maybe my car would become more nervous then, or want to flip over or stuff like that. So then I would think about reducing rear grip or adding rotation mid corner. So then I would look at the rear end. And then the things that I could do, I could, for example, reduce rear toe in. If I was running more than 1.5 toe in, I would definitely look at reducing to 1.5. I could look at my shock position, and if I don't have a problem with accelerating out of corners and the rear end wanting to collapse, then I would lay down my rear shock on the tower one hole, because that really helps with rotation. So the rear doesn't slide, but it allows the car to turn mid corner. Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Any other questions about setup or this particular track? You forgot anti-squat change. Did I change anti-squat? What I ran was maximum. I thought I had that at the Worlds too. But anyway, did I reduce it for the main? A kid was pitting next to me, so maybe he remembers. But anti-squat is a really powerful tuning aid too. And more anti-squat basically makes your car faster. So you enter corners aggressively, you have a bit less rear grip. It can allow the car to slide a bit, to rotate. And then as you get on power, you have more initial grip on the rear. So you can straighten the car out and accelerate faster forward. But it can make the car harder to drive. Less anti-squat on the rear just smooths out all transitions of turning around the corner, but also grip transitions. So it's easier to drive, but not quite as fast. Does 1.8 have different offset wheels? My X-Ray dumps the rear end in tight corners when using high offset wheels, no matter setup. I think different brands have slightly different offset, but I think it's about 1 millimeter only different, at least the ones I've seen. I haven't seen any others. Nice shirt. Yes, thank you. Indonesian traditional batik in my colors. What general changes would you make on a high grip track that developed large holes in corners? This is a whole separate topic. Maybe we need to do a live specifically about this, but I would say quickly just answer this. If it's a high grip track with big bumps in corners, then you want to have more overall grip, less initial grip. So as you're cornering, the car won't catch the bumps and want to turn or flip over or anything like that. So axle heights, you would, if you have low axle heights, you raise your axles, can be front and rear. On my Yakov, middle setting would be really good. You would want to have enough camber. You could maybe add a bit of camber. You could maybe even intentionally add some bump steer, so that when you drive through a corner and the outside front tire hits a corner and the suspension compresses, the outside tire turns out a bit towards the bump. So it doesn't want to oversteer the car. It wants to sort of correct the car a bit. Imagine you're turning right around the corner and you hit a bump. If right at that moment when you hit the bump, the wheel turns slightly left, it helps to not unbalance the car as much, and much less likely to want to start flipping over. So bump steer could be good. Pistons, it could go either way, really. Like these Kyosho pistons could be better, or a 5-hole piston could be better. So it depends on the surface and the type of bumps. But it's worth trying so you understand which way to go. Defoils, you have to think if your problems are on or off power. If your problems are on power, maybe thinner diffs would be better. If your problems are off power, then thicker diffs would be better. So there's a quick general answer for that. Okay. Why the aluminium hub over the 3-piece hub? I actually started with the 3-piece hub, but then I changed to the aluminium because there's a, like, I can't remember now how many grams, 15 grams weight difference. So that normal CNC hub is lighter. So I wanted to, 22 grams lighter. It wasn't a big change, to be honest. I maybe felt that the car was a bit more lively and agile with the stock CNC hubs. But I made that change just to test because of the weight. Okay, we have another question here. Where did my mouse go? It's on the wrong screen. It's not coming back. How about more rear grip in and out of the corner? So more rear grip in and out of corners means you want more initial grip. So do you remember this stuff from past YouTube videos, from the book, from the online course? Do I have the book here? No. I'll show you. Initial grip versus overall grip. You need to remember this and think about the problem in that way. I have a PDF of the book. I'll show you. My brain is like frozen. We actually got snow here. It's melted now, but somehow it affected my mind. I don't remember where anything is on my computer anymore. You know what? The 4th batch of books are almost sold out. I need to print more books. I cannot believe it. That's actually a good thing, isn't it? But people still read books. That's amazing. Okay. Do you see this? Do you see the book? Hopefully you see a book here. I think I shared the screen, not the window. Do you see my PDF here? We need initial grip. Where is it? I think it was towards the back of the book. We had some stuff about that. Look, I even talk about religion in the book. Can you believe that? Religion. Yeah, you need to get the book so you know what I'm talking about there. Communication. Most of my issues in my life are due to communication. And I wrote about it in the book. I need to read this. Where is it? Which page is the initial grip stuff on? Here somewhere. Setups for different track conditions. There we go. Okay. So think of this table when you think about your question. You want more rear grip in and out of corners. Whenever there is a change, you're turning into a corner, you're straightening out. That means that more initial grip will make that easier for you. So if we think about the rear, how do you get more initial grip so you have more rear traction entering and exiting corners? More anti-squat would do that. Less droop. Okay, this is a bit tricky. because if you run less droop, you will have less traction mid corner, which will make the rear end slide more. So you might actually feel it's bad. But lower axle height, it would help your problem. More drive shaft angle, so moving the rear hub forward, it would help your problem. Raising your rear diff height would help. Arm height on the inside, raising the lower arm on the inside would help. If your problem is that the car feels too soft and it collapses onto the rear outside tire when you exit corner. I made this change when I went to Indonesia. I had that problem you're explaining. I had a problem where on this loose track, when I wanted to accelerate out of the corner, the rear end would fishtail and the car would sort of slide instead of grip and go. So I raised my rear roll center. I lowered the link on the tower. It helped. Upper link height also. Overall lower link. So lowering the link on the inside and outside on the rear will give you more grip on the rear entering and exiting corners. Shorter link will help, but it's similar to the droop thing, that it could make it so loose that it's worse because it's looser mid corner. Thicker anti-roll bar, similar to the raising your arm height on the inside. So if your problem is that when you exit, the car collapses onto the rear, I think a rear roll bar would help. Okay? Capiche? Are we understanding each other? Okay. What else were we supposed to talk about? Talked about this race. We haven't really talked about the race. We just talked about what the track was like and the setup changes I made. As for the race, it was good. We had plenty of track time. There were good drivers there. Matsukura, Koki Pato, so Team Infinity were there. Wall Hunter from Australia, the local fast guys, Adrian, who runs the track, and Nugroho, Jason. They were really fast. And we had a lot of track time, sort of easygoing atmosphere. It was fun. The only thing I would say is that one of the reasons I was there was because I was supposed to have this invisible speed clinic for everyone. And I think this is not verified information, but I'm pretty sure that certain American vetoed that, which, is disappointing, but it's not the first time. I was supposed to do some, I'm going to release an on-road book for Invisible Speed, and I was going to sponsor the ETS with Tony Sport. And they said, yeah, okay. But then they were like, oh, we have to ask Scotty also. Like, we just have to run this by him. And then Scotty said no. So, I mean, yeah, some people are like that, because I'm pretty sure that an invisible speed clinic would be something that benefits everyone. It's a positive thing. Sponsoring an event with invisible speed, it's also positive in the sense that, yes, it's sponsorship for the race, but it's also advertising something that will benefit the racers. So in a situation like this, yeah, I don't understand why some people act the way they do. Be a fund. Thanks for all you do for the RC community. See, now you made me feel better already. I forgot about that guy already. Cheers. Here we go. You've watched my video. As much track time in as little bit of the day as possible. And that was true there. We were done by 5 p.m. every day. So we had good track time. I think it started at 9 and was done by 5. Very good schedule. I think for anyone watching who is not or has never raced in Asia and lives in Europe or America, then there are 2 really good races in Asia at the moment. So the first one is in April, May. It's the Philippine Masters. That's a really good race to attend. And then the second one is now this, the Asian Buggy Championship race in Jakarta, which is September, around September. They moved it because of the Worlds this year. So those two races, consider them. If you want to travel to Asia for a race, maybe, combine it with a holiday, these two races are perfect for that. American Dream comments. As an American, I apologize for his actions. We hunt all buttholes. How do I get your book? Okay, no, it's okay. Invisiblespeed.net for the book. Okay, next topic. We've had a few questions already. Talked about the race, the setup. What's next? I can't remember anymore. Someone help me out. I listed something. Oh yeah, it was I remember. See, I'm not really a good businessman. The next thing I was supposed to talk about was actually tuning your guitar. Maybe I should demonstrate this one actually. Maybe. So you understand what I mean. It has to do with this. It has to do with invisible speed setup tools. You see, I'm branching out. I have the book, I have online course, and next I'm going to have some tools. Okay, yeah. Bauman helped me out here. What's left is we have to talk about tuning a guitar and how it's relevant to RC. And then we're going to have a therapy session also and make that relevant to RC. Okay, let's try and tie this up nicely here now. So the first thing is the setup tools. Hopefully you've seen these. I don't know if you have, but we are offering Invisible Speed Setup Station. It comes with angle plates, a pair of angle plates, because you don't need 4. You put these on the front, and then on the rear, you use your regular tires. And you can measure your camber. We can 3D print parts for different cars, so you can measure the caster also, but it's sort of less relevant, but you can if you want. And then droop blocks. We'll have droop blocks and a droop gauge, so that you can easily and precisely measure your droop and also compare between different cars. So you put the car on the blocks and you measure to the wheel hex with the droop gauge. And yeah, of course, also there's the sort of plastic plate that you place on here to measure your toe angles. And the reason for these being so wide is that you can measure full lock of your steering also. And you can turn your steering and check for bump steer when the wheels are turned. So as the car is when you are driving in a corner. So yeah, these will hopefully be out next month. We're working on the laser engraving now, so I'm really hoping that they could even be out before Christmas. I wrote here expected shipping in January, just to be a bit safer, but the goal is actually before Christmas. Now, one criticism people have is that, oh, well, this doesn't really matter. It's not on-road, it's not touring car. You don't need this. There's so much play in all the parts. You don't need this for off-road. Well, I disagree. Especially these days now. Have you looked at the tracks and have you looked at how consistent and precise the drivers are? Like at the Worlds, Ongaro had, I think, 1 mistake in 60 minutes. And like 90% of his laps were all within a second or something incredible. Like it was ridiculous how consistent he was. So now the thing that is becoming more and more important is your preparation of the car and your precision and accuracy when setting up the car. That's where this comes in. And the thing is, like, how should you think about this? How do you think about this? I'll demonstrate. I'll demonstrate something to you right now. Okay. Say we have a guitar here, right? And we want to play a song. Okay? And we wanna strum a chord or something, right? We want it to sound good. And it sounds like this. I think something's a bit off, right? Okay, so you work on it a bit. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, it's maybe a bit better, but it's not quite right. Then you know what this is? If you're not so professional that you do this by ear, there's this tuner, okay? Then you check each string, okay? And you tune it. You're adjusting your guitar. You're adjusting your setup on the car, right? And you take your time. And you use the tuner precisely. You check again, you recheck. Okay, so I use this tool here, the tuner, and then I play again. Do you hear the difference? Same human being, same skills, same guitar. That sounds pretty good, right? What did I just do? I used a simple tool, took some time, tuned the guitar. I went from absolutely horrible to something that sounded decent, right? It was good. And now I broke my guitar. What is the point of this demonstration here? What was the point of all that? The point of all that is to say that these tools here are just like that guitar tuner. You don't need to have any more skill. You don't need to be, a super technically advanced individual. You just have these basic setup tools. You tune your car so that setting is correct and precise, and your car will handle better. It's a guarantee. When you do the basics well, your car will handle better and you will enjoy your racing more. You'll have better results, but the main thing is that driving your car will be more fun because you won't be fighting the handling of your car. You'll be happy with it. You'll be comfortable, confident. And if you make any changes, it will be more for trying to go even faster. So that is the point of these setup tools. And once we've released them, then we're going to make tutorials and videos showing you how to use them and also what the settings are that you need. So it's fine that I have a guitar. If I just strum it, it sounds like shit. If I have a tuner and I tune it, it sounds good. But I need to know how to tune it. Where do I tune it and why? There are different ways to tune a guitar too. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to show you how to use the tools and also what you are looking for. What are you trying to achieve and why? And when people say that it's not needed or it's unnecessary for off-road, I just completely disagree, especially lately with how the tracks have developed. But think of a guitar, how it sounded first with no tuning or eyeballing it or using a cider can to tune your angles versus use a tuner, you adjust it precisely, you play, it works. Beautiful. We're not 5, bro. I don't know if this comment is about this demonstration I just had, but I swear, having traveled the world, having fixed and looked at cars that people have built and people who are like very seriously saying that they want to improve and this is the best they can do, some of you, I think, are 5. So I really wanted to make sure to explain and demonstrate this idea that you can have equipment when you put a bit more effort into making sure to adjust it well, you will enjoy it more, you will do better. Facts. Any questions about that? Can't take a guy with M&Ms as his profile pic seriously. Oh, this guy. We're not 5, bro. Probably an American. Anyway, the Americans are happy now. They got Trump. Well, the Americans I know. Anyway, let's go to the final stage of this today's YouTube Live. Let's get to the therapy session. Bauman, are you here? Bauman is only here for the therapy. When's the Australia tour? I don't know. Australia is so far, but I was thinking about doing the 10 scale worlds next year, but not sure. Not sure now. Okay, I can't I remember that the therapy session was supposed to be about the clown suit lady, but I can't remember what my point was. Like there was an actual point I had, and if I don't remember it, then there's no reason to tell the story. Is Akid still here? Oh yeah, I forgot. Originally, the reason for this live was going to be that there's an Indonesian distributor for Moyako, but something came up. I don't know what happened, and then they backed out of it. So that didn't happen. We were supposed to have a live here and introduce them and all of that stuff. Maybe later on we'll find someone to support Moyako in Indonesia. Yeah. So what was my point with the clown suit story? I forgot. There was a reason I was going to tell it. I don't know. But anyway, I'll think about it. And in the meantime, I'll explain something new that we're going to do with Invisible Speed and Moyako. So next year, starting next year, I'll do some more coaching and we'll combine it with Moyako. But this is also something for someone with any car brand in 8-scale off-road racing. So what we're going to do is Moyako is going to launch this youth development program. It doesn't matter. It's going to be announced later, but no one watches this live, so I can talk about it. The youth development program, the idea is it's like, I think 25 and under, young drivers who enjoy RC racing, who put in the work and want to improve. Moyako supports them with equipment and the opportunity to, be able to practice and test and race more. Then there's another group of people who is involved in this project who are any age, but more experienced and knowledgeable. And hopefully we can match these people. So there's sort of the young up and coming racers and then more experienced racers. And Moyako are looking for people like this to support and enroll in this program, which Invisible Speed will run for them, which is coaching. So we will have group meetings, just like in the online course, but specifically for this group, the Mayako Youth Development Program group. And the idea is to have a more structured way of practicing, testing, learning about setup, and then improving your racing. And since we are doing this, we will also open this up for some people who don't race Mayako. So people with any car brand will later be able to sign up for this program also. So the online course and the book, it's sort of more about the theory and also practice, but less, how can I say, like less personal in that sense. That you learn all the stuff, but it's not actively learning it at the track with you and for you. And that's what this coaching side of Invisible Speed will be for. So that's something new that we're going to be doing. And then there are a few pro level drivers who don't race Mayako who I'll also be working with. And more news about that will be made public later on. So this is a new development that's going to take place for next year. I identify as fast enough for the program. Well, actually, you don't need to be fast enough for this program. So either you're a young, up-and-coming racer, or you're experienced and knowledgeable and can help such a racer locally. I'm 40, but have the mental age of 21. Can I get in on this? Yes, you can. You can. I'm 41, and I don't know what my mental age is, but it's not 41. I know that. Apparently, Tim's mental age is actually even less. It's 5. Okay, so now that I explained that, I actually remember the point of the story I was going to tell. So let's do that and then call it a day. And then I'm going to go to the touring car track, run some on-road. Okay, so I went to Indonesia and I stayed there for the whole week of the race. Basically, they had practice throughout the week. So I don't know, from Tuesday to Sunday or something like that. Now, if you have watched this channel, then we have had a few therapy sessions here, and you know that I've been trying to figure out some things about myself, how I work, how really sort of selfishly, how my life could be easier, better for myself. I think we all need to do that time to time. So one thing I know is I need my time alone, especially if I'm at a race like that. So what I did was every single morning, I would wake. Also, I need sleep, and I like to sleep in the morning. So there was a bus that took all the races to the track. So everyone hopped on the bus and went to the track. Now, I was able to do it differently, where I slept half an hour longer in the morning. I went down to breakfast. Everyone had left. So I went to breakfast alone, had breakfast, waited for a driver to pick me up, stopped by the local Alphamart, I think it was called, like a 7-Eleven, got the same drinks every day. I went to the track. So alone in the morning and a routine definitely helps. Then I get to the track, all hell breaks loose and a million people asking questions and this and that, and I can deal with it. So it's good. I learned that about myself. And it's actually something that I notice makes a difference. Like towards the end of the race, I can still actually function. So the thing about this that I want to highlight is on the first day we went to the Alphamart, there was a woman standing by the door. She opened the door and she had a plastic bucket and she was wearing a clown suit. I'm like, what the hell is this? Okay. So then apparently it was she opened the door for people, and she had the bucket in hopes that people would give her some money. And I asked about the clown suit, and apparently it's because if you stand with a clown suit somewhere at a traffic light or something, then it's more likely like that kids will notice you, or kids will want the parents to interact or something to get some money. So that was the reason for the clown suit. But I was really confused what was going on when I went there to the Alphamat. So anyway, I buy my stuff, and then I just give the change to the woman. And then I did it the second day. Then the third day, she had a little girl with her too. So I'm like, okay, now this situation is escalating now. Now she has a child there. I don't know if it's her own child or if this is like some elaborate scam, but okay, what do I do? So I go in, and then I bought some sweets for the girl, or some snack, something. So I gave the change again, and a snack for the girl. And yeah, obviously she enjoyed that. Next day, same thing. I bought some toy for the girl, change for the woman. Then the following day, I went. No one was there. No clown suit lady. No child. So I'm like, oh, okay, wrong timing for them. Then, as I'm in the shop, I see that girl running from somewhere. She's running, like happily running, because she had seen that I went in, so she's expecting something, right? So again, I bought some toy or something. I can't remember anymore. Gave it to her. Then I actually saw the woman. She was sitting somewhere further away, so I gave the change also to the girl, and she went. And then on the last day, I remember I was thinking like, okay, same routine again. But then I'm flying home tomorrow. They don't speak English. I'm not going to be able to communicate this to them. Tomorrow, that girl's going to be disappointed because I don't come. I'm gone, but I'm sure they can figure that out. So then, what's the point of this story? Is it do I want to make myself look good because I noticed them and cared? No, not really. It's something else. It's because when we live in this world, we have our own lived experience, and then we make up our mind about other people and situations and anything that we come across. We make it up with our own thinking, our own experience, our own mind, and we are very rarely able to consider someone else's lived experience, and then think about, if I was them, if I had their life, if I had experienced all the same things that they have and none of what I have, what decision would I make? If you are able to do that, then you are able to understand other people much better than if you think how most people think, which is, I would never do that, or why is this person like this? And you think with your own mind and your own experience, applying it to them, and it just doesn't work. So in racing, when people ask for setup advice, for example, the way people give setup advice is they think about themselves. They think about their skill level, how they like the car to handle, how they drive, and then they give the advice to the person like that. And that's why very often setup advice doesn't work, because what you have to do is you have to look at that person, you have to understand their skill level, you have to understand how they drive and what they need, and then that's how you give the setup advice. And to do that, you have to think less about yourself and more about that person. And this is a big difference between sort of just reading setup advice online or on some website or asking a random person versus learning it from the Invisible Speed book or course, or this coaching that is going to take place next year. Because when I think about car setup, and helping another person with car setup, I think about it from their perspective, not from my own. I use all the knowledge I have, but I apply it to them as if I was them. And this is really important to be able to do. Otherwise, in a sense, you are applying things that would help yourself to someone else. And that doesn't work. And the thing about this clown suit lady who was standing there opening the door with a plastic bucket, and who then had a small girl who I assume is her daughter join her. The way people very often think about it is like those people, it's like their fault that they are there, in a sense. They did something wrong, or they didn't work as hard as me or whatever, and that's why they are there. And they that's how they dismiss any kind of sort of minorities or struggling people in the world. That's how you dismiss them. Like, I wouldn't do that, or I wouldn't be in that situation, or I wouldn't that, or I wouldn't this, right? And you completely miss the point that you didn't live their life. You lived your own life. So you don't know what those other people have been through. You don't know where that woman in the clown suit, in what situation, what scenario, where was she born, how was she raised, did she go to school, what has happened to her throughout her life, right? You do not know. So if you had that life that she had, it is very possible that you would also be standing there opening the door for people in a clown suit with a plastic bucket. So you shouldn't judge people because you don't know their story, you don't know them, right? So then in that moment, it's like I was actually thinking about it, like, what is it, like, what makes me feel like I will specifically use this cash, like 50,000 or whatever it was, so that I have change, so that I can give it to her? Like, why? And I think really it's selfish. It is, because when you do something good for someone else, you feel good yourself. So you can say that it's a selfish thing to do. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that, because you are actually doing something good. I think if you do these things and you film them for your social media or something, then it crosses over to like a problematic area where you're doing something good because you film it so you can be successful on social media or something like that. Do you understand? But if you just do it and that's it, I think it's good, even if it's selfish, even if it makes you feel good about yourself, and that's why you do it. I think it's far better than ignoring it or judging someone and then not doing anything. And as for another argument people often use in many situations where, let's say, there's something that someone could do for another person that's positive, they often think that there's a really good song about this, actually. I can't remember the name. It was something like pants go no, underwear goes inside your pants or something. I can't remember. What the hell was it? It's this rap song. I can put it in the comment, in the description of the video maybe. And it's some of the lyrics in the song is something about that. Why would I give this homeless person any money? I mean, he's just going to use it on drugs and alcohol or something, right? And then, oh no, wait a minute, that's what I'm going to use it on. Someone realizing that if I give this homeless person money, they'll just spend it on some pointless stuff, drugs and alcohol. And then, well, if I keep it myself, I'll do the same thing. So people often think that if they do something good like that, then how do they know that it will actually be a positive thing? How do they know that this isn't some criminal organization that have placed clown suit ladies around town and then you're giving them money? Like, how do you overthink things to the point where you don't do something good for another human being, because of that, right? If you give some change to some clown suit lady holding a plastic bucket, and you give a little girl a chocolate bar or a toy, they will be happy, right? That's it. That's fine. It's like 100% sure that was a good thing to do in that moment, right? Am I crazy or what? I think it is. So, do we have any kind of conclusion here? What am I trying to say? Muchly appreciated, mate. Really enjoyed this live and being involved. Keep it up. Legend. You could do something good for me and send me a free book. If you dress up in a clown suit and you show up at my door, then I will give you a free book. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay for it. Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is that having traveled all around the world, met all kinds of different people, and especially now, topic of the day, like just now, Trump being elected in America again. I really like, it's just so obvious to me how misled people are, in a sense, to like basic things, like basic humanity. What is like how you live your life in a way that you are a net positive in the world versus you are enabling negative things to happen in the world, right? That's kind of what has been frustrating me for years already, and it's just like getting worse, it seems. And I don't know, this moment of just every day having that same routine and that same clown lady there, it just got me thinking about these things, and it was like so clear and so obvious to me, like this is how it is. And the problem really is what I said. People are not able to put themselves in someone else's shoes and to think about a situation or analyze a problem from the other party's perspective, the other side's perspective. They are so attached to their own life, their own experiences, their own thoughts and emotions and biases that they can't for a moment leave those and consider the other side. And that's something that I think we need to practice more. We need to do more. And I wish more people could do that. And I think also maybe part of that was what I was talking about earlier about Scotty, and how this was already before any more recent issues. But like ETS, Invisible Speed, wants to sponsor it, just flat no. Invisible Speed Clinic, which will help all races, just no. Like this attitude that we have in RC is not the only one. There are more companies and people in RC who make selfish decisions based on emotion and hinder positive growth and progress. And it's all because of thinking like this: selfish thinking, narrow-minded thinking, not being able to consider different points of view, different perspectives. So that's kind of today's rant. And rant/therapy session. And see, I was able to tie it back to car setup. I said that when you truly want to help someone, so for example, now in next year's Invisible Speed coaching, if I want to truly help someone, I have to be able to think about their driving style, their preference, and their skill level, and only then can I help them effectively. And that's what we're going to be doing next year. Capiche? Do we understand each other? Bauman brings up a good point. There will always be a black sheep to be this clown, and these people ruin it for the real clown. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's like saying that this way of thinking is the same way of thinking where people say that some people are dishonest and make false allegations against others for some violent crime, for example. Then you can never trust people who make these allegations. So you have to protect the criminal. Or would it maybe be better to think, okay, you listen to everyone who makes allegations, and then you look at the situation. So you take care of the alleged victim. You don't destroy the accused person, but you take the victim seriously in this situation, and then you find the truth, right? That is maybe a better way. Okay, so instead of dismissing the victim because you know that some victims are fake, some people lie, and then because of that you don't trust any alleged victims. I think that would be a worse way of approaching this problem. A better way would be to always take the victim seriously, not punish the accused person before you know if they did something or not, but you take the victim seriously, you find out if what they're saying is true, you deal with the situation. I think that's a much better way to deal with it. And here, in what you are saying, there's always going to be a clown, and those people ruin it for the real clown. So what I assume you are saying is that the problem here is, okay, this clown lady here, she may be authentic, she may be honest about her situation, and it may be a good thing to give her the change, for example. But then there are also situations where that's not the case. So it's better not to help anyone because you don't know which ones are real and which ones aren't. I think that's the wrong way, again, to think about it. I think that you can help people, you can provide opportunities, even though you know that there are those who would take advantage of it. It's like in Finland, we have really good healthcare for everyone, social services. People can get money from the government for housing subsidy if they can't pay the rent, or if they don't have a job, they get benefits from the government, or if you study, the government gives you money each month. Like, there's so many different ways that the government ensures that you can have you can sustain yourself, and then there are opportunities for you to study or find a job and sort of build your life. Okay, but there are people who abuse the system, so they don't really need the money, but they lie and scam the system so they get money. Okay, so then your way of thinking here is, there are people who abuse the welfare state, so we shouldn't give this help to people. And again, that's backwards thinking. You should definitely help people. You should help people more, to provide them opportunities and incentivize them to go to school, find a job, all of that. You shouldn't pay them so much that they just stay home and not do anything. No, it should be like a definite plan for people to rehabilitate themselves and their life and succeed, right? And then you should find people who misuse the system and punish them. That's fine. But you shouldn't scrap the system because they exist. Backwards thinking, Bauman. I know you're in the basement, but sometimes come out of the basement, breathe the fresh air, and flip your thinking around. Building bridges is an important skill for humans. Yes, it is. I don't trust any clown. I only trust machines. Them I control. Even here, they lie to me. The problem with machines is that humans write the code. There can be mistakes. Anyway, I want to go run my touring car. I can't believe I said that, but it's true. I want to go and drive my touring car now. This was deep. This was a good therapy session. I think we made some real progress today, and we'll be back. We'll think of another topic, have some more therapy later on. Okay? Machines break down too, yeah. Okay. This statement is extremely questionable. Have fun with Pekko and post some RC porn. Now that, my friends, on that note, we're going to end this live. So, remember, next year, I think first week of May, Philippine Masters in Manila, Asia, Asian race. If you haven't been, that's a good one. Another good one is this race we spoke about today, the last Asian Buggy Championship in September in Jakarta. Those two races are really good to go to if you race 8-scale off-road. Maybe you want to combine the race with a holiday. Perfection. Everyone keep burning nitro and stay safe. Yes, sir. Okay, we're done. I'm going to go drive my touring car. We went 30 minutes over time. Holy shit. Okay. Last question. I almost left. Last question. What's the last question? Neo isn't here, but Omar, you can ask the last question. No? You're not going to do it? Oh. What are your thoughts on HB Worlds? You mean the Worlds Edition? Or the latest car? I'm going to tell you a secret, okay? The old HB car was decent. I mean, the way to access the diffs and how the hinge pins were on that, it sucked. Hard to work on, but the car was good. Performance was good. Then they released a new car, which my theory is they just had a bunch of truggy parts they couldn't sell. So they made a new buggy to sell them, but it's not as good as the old one. There's no way. It doesn't make sense. And now I heard they are re-releasing the old car, if I understood correctly. Maybe there are some updates to it. I don't know. So then they're actually going to a better car now if they're doing that. So that's what I think. So get the old car or then this new old car they are releasing. That's a good one. Not as good as Miyako, but you know, it's okay. By the way, in Indonesia, there's a appliance company, like they make fans and toasters and stuff and rice cookers called Miyako. Yeah, that was funny. I don't have a picture of the fan here, but yeah. So Miyako is Miyako over there. I'm okay with that. Okay. See you guys. Bye-bye.